What's going on YouTube? This is Ashton Taylor with TNR's Financial Balance coming at you with another video. This one's going to be about your emergency fund. First, special thanks to Daniel Hanishak. He's the one who did the editing for this whole entire video, so thank you very much. He does some great work, so check him out on Facebook, Daniel Hanishak. If you need any editing, hit him up. So our last video was about budgeting. If you haven't watched it, it's the 5 tips to having a budget that saves you money. And we kind of touched a little bit about the emergency fund on there. But let's get into it. Emergency fund. So your emergency fund should be 3 to 6 months of your budget or your standard of living that we talked about. So it should be about 3 to 6 months that just in case you ended up not being able to that amount of time. That's a big one that I can see. Like, say you got injured on the job, say you're out of work for some reason, you got fired. This is a good fallback plan for you. Or if, like we talked about in the budget video, let's say because you have your at least one account of dispendable income that can go to an unexpected expense. So let's say that it's more, what you're having to pay for, your unexpected expense is more than your one account of dispendable income, then that's what the emergency fund would pay for. Our past analogy was, let's say you needed a new tire or a couple new tires, then boom, that emergency fund takes care of that and you don't have to sweat it. It's not really stressful at all. Make sure that you are only using it for emergencies only. I have found myself finding myself going like, it's just credit. I can pay it back later. Let's say some new product from Amazon comes out and I really want it. Well, then I'm just like, well, I have that $5,000 in my account. Don't use it as credit. Don't even act like it's not even there. Just keep on adding money into it. Don't even think it's there. Only think of it whenever you need to use it. Absolutely need to use it. Like I said, tires, you're out of the job, whatever it may be, use it for emergencies only. So how do you save up for this? We talked a little bit about it in the budget one, in the budget video. You can use your extra hours that you get at work. If you end up getting extra hours, covering any shifts, or if you have a side hustle that gets you a little bit of money, then that could be used. Your tax refund is a huge one. The way that I split up my tax refund whenever I got it was I did a third of it into towards my car loan that I have, a third of it into my emergency funds, and a third of it into my savings, and that helped out. I mean, with a student's tax return like myself, it was huge. Student tax returns are pretty big if you're working. Then you can also use that wiggle room that you create whenever you create your budget. If you create your budget with wiggle room, like we talked about, please go check out that last video. It's really good content. So if you create that wiggle room can be solely added to your emergency fund as well. That wiggle room also is what gets left over from your last paycheck. So anything left over from your last paycheck as well should be going towards your emergency funds. I know a lot of people that I know, there's a lot of people that I know that have an issue with when they see, oh, I still have 20 bucks left over from my last paycheck, and then they already spent their dispendable income, they didn't have any unexpected expense, and they already spent that. And then they're like, well, I have $20 left over, and now I can go out, go do whatever I want, I can go buy whatever the heck I wanted. Don't. It's a huge mistake to do that, especially whenever you're trying to save up for things, and you're gonna end up regretting it. It's a small return at that moment, but the long-term view of like saving and having an emergency fund and making sure you're paying off your debt is gonna hurt you in the short term, or it's gonna hurt you in the long run. It might help you. It may seem like it helps you in the short term. It really doesn't. So there's some tips that I want to go over. Make sure that before you make a huge financial commitment, such as getting a house or getting a mortgage on a house, basically anytime that you're going to take out a loan from the bank, make sure that you're within those 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund, because one, it will help you out whenever you get this new this new once your budget has to change, once you have to fluctuate your budget, it's going to help you out to readjust that, just in case you forgot to account for something, whatever it may be. It's going to be there to have your back. And then to add on to that, make sure that if you know, or at least have a ballpark estimate of how much it's going to be more a month, as in how much more you're going to have to put into your budget, or how much more your budget's costing you, then be sure to include that in your emergency fund. Make sure you're including that. So, such as, let's just say, for an example, let's say your budget or your standard of living was $2,000 a month. So let's say you want to make sure that you have 6 months worth of that emergency fund built up. So you're looking at $12,000 right there. And is that right? Yeah, that's right. $12,000 right there that you would have saved up for a rainy day. And that seems like a lot of money, but whenever, let's go even more extreme. Let's say you get into a serious car accident, and I mean, insurance is going to cover a portion of it, you know. So let's say you get into a serious car accident, then you got 2 problems. Say they totaled your car. Okay, well, you're going to get your money back, but let's say you're driving a junker and you get $500 back, and then you still have to pay for, let's say the accident's your fault, you still have to pay your deductible to get their car fixed, or whatever the case may be, and then you still have to pay for the hospital visit, and you're just in a predicament. And that's where your emergency fund comes in and saves the day. There's not really much more about the emergency fund. It's a time-consuming, or it's a time-oriented fund that you have to end up saving up for, but it's very great to have on your side, and it really eases your conscience a lot. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. Your emergency fund, start including it in your budget. What I did for the very beginning of it, I put a certain amount that had to go into my, I put it into my budget, how much I needed to put aside and put it to start up my emergency fund. That's what I did when I started it. So I did about, I think, $100 every time I get paid would go instantly into there, and then I got to about $1,000, and then that's whenever I decided, okay, well, I need to create wiggle room. I need to make sure that I'm putting more than $100 in there, and then that's kind of where I created the whole entire emergency fund idea. Not that it's anything new, it's just something a lot of people don't really budget for. So include it in your budget. It's going to help you out a lot. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Royal Hustle Fuel. Follow us on Snapchat, Royal Hustle Fuel. If you'd like, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook's just Ashton Taylor, and then Twitter is Ashton_X_Taylor. And we'll catch you next week. Thanks.